Weather is an important part of our life. I mean, who doesn't love a clear blue sky? That is until it's August and you need a little bit of shade maybe to protect you from the intense sun, or even more as the clouds get together and brings us some of the needed moisture that certainly we need to bring us rain. So the point is, though, is that we all want what we want when we want it. Isn't that just typical human nature? We want what we want when we want it, and we want it now. But if we think about it, relative to our current situation with the coronavirus, cloudy skies often reveal God's faithfulness. As we look back on the clouds in our life, hopefully we can gain perspective on how God has been faithful to us in our trials. So the Bible offers us really a perfect example of this life process as we examine, of all people, a perfect example, as I said, in the book of Job. So the book begins, if you've read Job, you understand the book begins with a scene in heaven that explains everything only to the reader. In fact, Job was suffering because God was contesting with Satan, yet Job never knew that was the case. Job's friends never knew that was the case. Job's wife never knew that was the case. So they all struggled to explain this suffering from the perspective of their ignorance. Again, ignorance of God's providence in their life. Now, as you read Scripture, and you'll understand that where we can even gain maybe some of this insight as far as perspective is concerned, when you read the passage, you kind of wonder, we too even have questions in the fact that God even describes Job as, in verse 1, chapter 1, he was blameless, he was upright, he feared God, and he shunned evil. In fact, just a few verses over in verse 5, it said that Job offered intercession for his family. He was a model parent. Job was good. Scripture indicates that Job put his trust in God. He faithfully lived a God-honoring life, and he was also a man of sincere integrity. Yet over a period of days, Job lost his 10 children. He lost 11,500 head of livestock. He lost a large house of servants, as it said, and then finally he even lost his health. And so Job's suffering presents significant questions really for the faith of believers of all ages, and not just all ages, but why not even this age, and that is, why do righteous or the innocent suffer? So we can understand Job's question of this, again, as well as his wife and the 3 friends that you'll be introduced to as you read. And so you see this process of discussion through 38 chapters in the book of Job. Why should the innocent suffer? Why should the righteous suffer? And of course, we find out, and we know, of course, what was going on is that Satan, and this is kind of the key, was asserting a fact to God that true believers are only faithful as long as they prosper. True believers are only faithful as long as they prosper. Next week, we're going to look at Job's questions about the extent of his sins in compared to the severity of his suffering. And also we're going to learn 6 truths about Job's experience that make practical application to where we are today. Until next week, thank you.